Hey everybody, it's Tony with Big T Bariatric, and today it is Friday. Hallelujah, it's Friday, April 7th. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. If you could do me a huge favor, please hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think about this video. Also, I just want to let you guys know that we had a great Big Talks with Big T on Wednesday with my friend Cassie Nova. She had bypass surgery. She also has PCOS, so we had a really great conversation about hormones, PCOS, what it's like being pregnant after having bypass surgery, which she has her own unique experience on that. So if you want to check that out, go watch it. It's still up. You will not regret it. It was a great, informative video. This coming Wednesday, I'm having my friend Kayla Shea on. We're still working out what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be really great. If you have not subscribed to Kayla Shea's channel, she is very, very insightful. She puts out well-researched information and makes great videos. So go check her out, subscribe to her channel. You will not regret it. I think she does it way better than I do. I don't know how I have almost 5,000 subs. I'm just kind of working my way through it because I'm still trying to figure out how to make better videos and stuff like that. But yeah, her stuff is really great. So go check her out. Today I'm going to talk about FatDoctorUK. As you can see by the screen, apparently there are medical doctors, real medical doctors with degrees, who are joining forces with the dark side. And by the dark side, I mean the fat activists. And judging by their description here, their name is Dr. Asher Laramie. They use they, them pronouns, which I'm going to do my best to respect. All right. And they are weight inclusive, non-binary general physician. I believe that's what GP means here, but it could be something else. I have no idea what all these labels and stuff are anymore. And they consider themselves a fat activist. And it's really weird to me that you are going to be a medical doctor and you're going to have a doctorate and you're going to be a practicing physician, but you're also a fat activist at the same time. And you're going to spew misinformation, which we're going to get into. So I'm going to look at a few of their TikToks and some of the things that they have to say about this genre. And I'm sure there's a lot more here. They have tons and tons of TikToks. All right, so they seem to be very active talking about a lot of things, and I could probably go for hours just going through all of their TikToks. But I just grabbed a few of the more recent ones, and we're going to go through them and experience them together. And hopefully there's not music on here that will get my video banned or anything like that. But let's dive into it right now.
Modern Western society.
Oops, I gotta turn my headphones back on. All right, let's restart this.
Modern Western society deliberately excludes fat people from the definition of health. For starters, over the last century, the term obesity has become more and more commonplace. Many folks.
All right, so right off the bat, you as a medical doctor have problems with the medical term obesity, which describes people who are overweight. And there are several classes of obesity, but you're just going to say that medical definition, as a doctor, you just don't agree with it. And also to say that fat people are excluded from medical whatever, no, they're not. They're absolutely not. All right, according to this description, they made up the condition obesity so that they could, and they like use the word obesity here. I don't know if you can see it, but they turn it into a bad word. So apparently even the word obesity is a bad word to them. It's a slur. It's a bad thing that you cannot say. So they couldn't even write out the full word obesity. Obesity. All right. It's like Candyman. What are you afraid of? It's a word. It's a medical term. All right. But they made up the conditions so that they could exclude fat people from health altogether. End weight stigma. BMI is bull crap. No way. Fat doctor. Really? They made up the term obesity so that they could exclude fat people from health altogether? They're not excluding people from health. There's real legitimate research out there about the consequences of obesity. All right. And when you start seeing that and doctors try to alert their patients about that, they're not excluding them from health. They're just getting so big, so fat, so obese that it's becoming more and more difficult to treat them. I mean, when you get so big that you are beyond the scope of being helped medically, that's not discrimination. That's your fault for getting so big that you cannot be treated. But when I go to the doctor, my doctor doesn't say, get out. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. You're not even welcome here. Like, that's what they're making it sound like is the problem here. My doctor does everything that she can to help me out. Gives me medications I need, refers me to specialists that I might need. But there are limits to the amount of care that she can give me. And I've already talked about this before, how I need knee surgery really bad. My knees are in a lot of pain. And I keep asking her, when can I go for an MRI? And she says, I'm still too big to get an MRI. And if I did get knee surgery right now, there's absolutely nothing that that surgery would do for me because I'm too big. Putting all this weight on surgically repaired knees would not be helpful. It would not be good. And my sister, who had knee surgery, totally agrees with me because she says she was completely unable to even bend her knee for a very long time. So somebody my size trying to get around who probably couldn't even use crutches had knee surgery, like, it would not be good. All right? So that's my fault that my obesity prevents me from being able to take better care of myself medically, right? But the fact that I have bad knees and a bad back and I was in so much pain yesterday that I couldn't even make a video was 100% my fault. The consequences of my obesity are shining through, which is why I'm fighting so hard to lose the weight, because I'm tired of being in pain. Which is, if you're overweight, that's the future you're going to face. Your body's going to start breaking down because it was not meant to be that big. And doctors telling people this is not discrimination. You keep saying that they're excluding obese patients when they're really not. You just don't like hearing that obesity has consequences. Physically, medically, socially, there are consequences. But you want to turn around all of medical science in your favor by putting out these lies. And I don't know if I want to keep watching this because it looks like there's music on here, paper birds. But I'm guessing this video is not going to get monetized, so whatever. As long as it's not blocked, I guess I'll lose out on money from this video. But it's important to counter this information, this misinformation that the so-called fat doctor is putting out there.
Folks, especially those who stand to profit, have been pushing the agenda to classify obesity as a disease. Now, to be clear,
how do doctors profit from classifying obesity as a disease? Telling people they need to lose weight? Like, who makes money off of that? Doctors want their patients to live longer, so I guess that's where they keep money from. Oh, if you help us live longer, you're just going to take more money from us, because if we stay fat, we're just going to die in 10 years, and that's less money in your pocket. Like, is that what she's trying, or what they're trying to say here? Like,
obesity is just a nasty way of saying fat. The literal translation is to eat so much that you become fat. The only way to diagnose the condition, obesity, is to use the body mass index. The scientific community all agree that the BMI is inaccurate and
the scientific community does not all agree that. This person is ridiculously stupid. I'm sorry. They are completely biased. And because they believe this, now they're saying the entire scientific community agrees that it's biased, when it's not. It might not be 100% perfect, but it's a good guideline based upon your height and your weight and your sex to determine what your BMI is. There's no discrimination. There's nobody out to get you by using this discriminatory BMI chart.
unhelpful. Am I the only one that struggles to reconcile this?
Yeah, because you just want to be fat. That's your problem. You just want to be fat. So anything that classifies you as fat, you don't like it.
Pathologizing fatness, we exclude all fat people from any definition of health. And that's
Because fat people are not healthy. Why can't you get that through your brain? You're not excluded from anything. You still have the same quality of care that you are able to receive. If you are disqualified from any care, it's your fault. It's not the result of discrimination.
a problem. Modern
All right, let's watch the next one here. This one is It's Not Us, It's You, Fat Doctor, No Way, BMI Bull, Crap, Weight and End Weight Stigma. All right.
As a fat person, I'm telling you, it is impossible to be healthy in a fat body. And here's
Well, yeah, that's what I've been saying the whole time, so we agree on that, but you're not going to believe their reasoning on this.
why. For starters, how are we supposed to remain healthy when we are paid significantly less than people in smaller bodies?
People in smaller bodies can do more. People in smaller bodies can work harder. People in smaller bodies can contribute more to society. People in smaller bodies do not get out of breath walking up a few stairs. People in smaller bodies can stand on their feet for 8 hours a day. Sorry if I adjust here. My back is hurting me because I'm fat. Make sure I'm still in the camera here. Oh, this is not a stunt. I had to shift because my obesity created consequences on my body. And so I'm in a lot of pain. All right, let's continue.
Everybody knows the richer you are, the better your health. There's a reason why members of the royal family all live into their 90s. How are we
Well, yeah, they're being a royal family, they have chefs, just like rich people have chefs, and they can set up whatever diet that they want to live off of, and typically it's healthier, right? You're not seeing too many celebrities or multimillionaires going to McDonald's every single day, unless you're Donald Trump, I guess. I don't know. Um, yeah, it's
supposed to be healthy when we're taught from infancy that being fat is one of the worst things that could happen to your body?
what is worse than obesity to your body, other than maybe cancer? Of course, obesity can cause cancer. Obesity can cause all these other diseases that can significantly decrease your quality of life and increase your chances of dying at a much younger age. So while you're younger, you might be like, okay, well, obesity is not a problem for me. But again, you're going to get older and it's going to break down your body. Nothing's going to destroy your body faster than obesity, except for maybe cancer. Yeah, you can get all kinds of other diseases that might be harmful to you. But yeah, obesity is one of the worst things that can happen to your body. It just is.
How are we supposed to remain healthy when the world is intent on destroying our self-confidence, our self-worth, and our self-esteem?
See, the fact that people care about you is the reason why they tell you to get healthy. They're not trying to destroy your self esteem. They're not saying that you're unworthy. You're still a human being. You're still worthy of love. All right? But people who care for you are going to tell you that there are consequences for why you're overweight. And it's going to shorten your lifespan. And it's going to, everything that I just said already. I'm not going to repeat the list of things that obesity can do to you. The people who do not care for you are the fat acceptance people who tell you that it's okay to be fat, that there are no consequences to it, and that it's just everybody else's problem for excluding you. When you're excluding yourself, when obesity is self-harm, you're doing it to yourself. And the people who love you are not the fat acceptance people. The people who love you are the ones who are going to tell you that you need to lose weight because they love you and they care about you and they want you to live a long, prosperous life.
How are we supposed to be healthy when nobody treats us with any respect? When our fat bodies are pathologised and politicised? How are we supposed to remain healthy when our parents, our peers, our...
Well, yeah, obesity is politicized because people realize the real dangers of it. Do you know how much money obesity costs the country? But you don't care about that. You don't care about what you're taking from your family, how much your family has to rally together to take care of you because of your obesity, because of what you can't do. That's what I'm talking about. Like, there's so many people today who just take from society. They don't care about giving back to it. They just want to take from it, and they expect everybody else to give in to them.
Our employers, our teachers, our healthcare professionals, and our politicians can barely hide their disgust at our bodies.
Well, fat bodies are not attractive. Yeah, there's some people out there who like fat bodies and they're attracted to it and they try to keep people fat and feed them and everything else, but yeah, I don't know. This is dumb. Let's go to the next one. This one I thought was really good.
Oh my god, enough with the fat around the organs. That is not a real thing. It is made up.
You as a medical doctor are saying that visceral fat does not exist. Really? It's a completely made up thing. What medical school did you go to? And whatever school that is, they should yank your license immediately.
Maybe you should keep the comments to yourself until you actually know what you're talking about.
Okay, take your own advice, FatDoctorUK. Maybe you should shut up. Maybe you should stop talking about things that you have no idea about. I'm wondering where this person got their doctorate degree from. Because it's not probably from any accredited medical school. For them to completely just ignore every piece of scientific evidence about obesity, to even say that visceral fat doesn't exist when it's very obvious that it exists. Like, and this doctor here, Dr. Idez, is about to prove to you that it exists.
So I got tagged in FatDoctorUK's video and it really confused me. She could mean a couple things here. I'm not sure if she's saying that fat depositing around the organs is simply made up, or if she's saying that having excess fat around the organs being harmful to health, whether that statement is made up. Well, either way, both of those are incorrect. Time for school. Excess fat around the organs is very much a real thing. I'm not sure how a medical professional can deny that. Using magnetic resonance imaging, which are very accurate and reliable medical grade scanners, we can get good quality images of the level of visceral fat inside the abdomen, as shown.
I mean, that's only at 250 pounds. You could look at a 250-pound man and not think that they are, like, massive. Maybe, but I mean, you could tell the difference here between a 120-pound person and a 250-pound person. I mean, it's obvious that the 250-pound person has a lot more fat and is wider and all that. But you would look at this person in real life and just say, oh, he or she is just big boned. They're just a little bigger. It's not that big of a deal. But look at all the extra fat on the arms, on the sides, hanging off of them, but also surrounding all their organs. Literally surrounding all of their organs. And the impact that this whole body has to face is tremendous. At 250 pounds, much less 300, 400, and 500 pounds. And there's more. This gets better.
Here in this study, they also found that visceral fat area is associated with total cholesterol, HDL levels, total insulin, and insulin resistance. And I've literally held fatty organs in my hand.
Exactly. Any doctor with any real experience who has done surgery, who I guess went to medical school and even did autopsies or, studied cadavers or anything like this, has held organs in their hand with fat on them. This is clearly a fatty organ. I don't know which organ this is. Is this a heart? I'm not a medical professional, so I don't know if this is a heart or something else. But yeah, you can clearly see the difference between an organ just packed with fat versus one that only has a little bit of fat on it.
One of the most obvious differences between slim and larger bodies was the amount of fat surrounding the organs like the heart or the liver. It literally looked like this, so clearly visceral fat is not made up. Now let's look into why having a large amount of visceral fat is damaging to our health. Firstly, visceral fat is very different to subcutaneous fat, which is the fat that sits just beneath.
Yeah, exactly. There are two different types of fat, visceral fat and subcutaneous fat. Right? The visceral fat is inside and it does surround your organs. The subcutaneous fat is the jiggly stuff that's hanging off your body.
The skin, and visceral fat is a super complex endocrinology topic, so I'll try to explain just a couple physiological effects. Visceral fat cells are metabolically active. They essentially act as an endocrine organ, so they produce hormones and other substances that negatively affect our health. Visceral fat disrupts the normal balance and functioning of our hormones, and also release cytokines, which are chemical mediators such as interleukin-6, and this increases the risk of cardiovascular disease along with many other diseases. Another reason why it's harmful is that those visceral fat cells lie close to the portal vein, and free fatty acids released from those fat cells can enter the bloodstream and travel to the liver, where it can cause higher cholesterol, lower HDL and insulin resistance. And to make things worse, the visceral fat cells themselves are insulin resistant, so this can lead to a vicious cycle of health issues. And there's an unlimited amount of evidence looking at the harmful effects of visceral fat.
Alright, let's look at some of this. Meta-analysis, 72 studies. Abdominal obesity equals higher risk of all-cause death. More studies. Visceral fat equals greater risk of insulin resistance. Visceral fat increases risk of cardiovascular disease. Abdominal obesity is a strong predictor of all cancer risk. All medical science, right there, that this person is completely denying for the sake of their feelings and the feelings of all other fat people who just for some reason cannot handle the fact that their obesity has consequences. Let's continue.
This meta-analysis of 72 studies found that abdominal obesity, which is the biggest indicator of having excess visceral fat, was associated with a higher risk of all-cause death. This meta-analysis of 40 studies found that increased visceral fat mass led to a greater risk of insulin resistance and diabetes. Another review found that increasing visceral fat increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, even cancer. This review shows that abdominal obesity is a stronger predictor of all-cause cancer than simple BMI, showing us the importance of managing our visceral fat levels for overall health. I've just referenced hundreds of peer-reviewed studies and there are hundreds more. No professional should tell you that fat around the organs does not exist, nor...
Yeah, exactly. Like, where did this FatDoctorUK get their studies from? They did not provide a single piece of evidence that says visceral fat does not exist. Not a single one. Whereas this doctor provided over 150 studies in one video. 150 studies that prove the existence of visceral fat and the damaging effects of it. Let's move on.
Ooh, 25 years is an awfully long time to shave off my life. There's also literally no evidence to support this at all. See this article here? I suggest you take a look at it. It is one of the many studies that confirm without a doubt that being fat does not shave a quarter of a century off your life. In fact, it shows quite the opposite. People with a bit of fat on their body live the longest. The largest ever epidemiological study, which followed 1.8 million.
Okay, so let's discern real quick that they just said a little bit of fat on the body helps people live the longest. Okay. We're not here to attack people with a little bit of fat on their bodies. That's going to be normal. Everybody has a little bit of fat, unless you're on the other end of the spectrum. I can't even say the term without risking my video getting blocked or whatever. But you know what I'm talking about. If you're so skinny versus someone who has a little bit of fat on their body, the person with a little bit of fat is probably going to live a little longer. That is a sign of health. People have a little bit of fat. It's normal. It's a normal part of our bodies, right? But to say that people who are obese live longer than someone of a normal health body, no, that's ridiculous. And in order to back up their fallacies, they're using studies Whaler, 1984. They're using studies. I was born in 1984, so that was 39 years ago. And then here's an interesting comment. I mean, the Whaler study uses data from the 1960s. So even though this study came out in 1984, 39 years ago, before obesity was a major player in the world like it is today, where it wasn't as studied, this study uses data from the 1960s. And it's one of the reasons for a lower weight mortality was tuberculosis. So maybe not super relevant. So it looked at people who had tuberculosis, and then the response from the Fat Doctor is, I said it was the largest study, not the newest. Are you aware of a larger one, oh wise one? So their condescending comment here looked at the largest study conducted almost 40 years ago using data from the 1960s, but it looks like they were cherry picking data that's old, but because it's the largest, they're saying that it's the most relevant, when in reality it's not. Not the newest. Are you aware of a larger one? Come on. This is just ridiculous. I phoned my doctor yesterday because I'm in a lot of pain. One of the first things she asked me was, what is my weight? As if weight doesn't impact your pain. Seriously? As someone sitting here in agony right now doing this video, yeah, obesity causes pain. And this person, Becky Hadley, looks overweight just in her little bit of picture. I've been told it would only be because people with a BMI of below 20 were usually seriously ill. Yeah, if you have a very tiny BMI, you are more likely to be ill than people who have a little bit of fat on them. And then people, of course, are asking this doctor for advice as if she actually knows what they're talking about. I'm sorry, what they know what they're talking about. I can't find this, and it's a systematic review. Was this without visceral fat? My physical therapist, or I'm guessing physical therapist, says that that's a real problem. But then the Fat Doctor's response is, I don't know if you can see it where my image is, but of course the PT is selling weight loss to you.
Million people over 10 years showed that people with a BMI between 34 and 36 had a longer life expectancy than people with a BMI of 18 to 20. In other words, fat people live longer than skinny people. Another study shows that active fat people have half the cardiovascular disease mortality rates of sedentary people in the healthy weight BMI category.
We've already discussed this. That's because people who are obese and have heart attacks, yeah, they might live through that because they are younger than somebody who has heart attacks maybe when they're 60 years old. Their heart is healthier at that age. I mean, we've discussed this at length, right? The younger you are, the more your body is able to handle certain things. It's able to handle the stress of your obesity. Your heart is healthier the younger you are. The damages take time to impact your body. But there are people 28 years old, 32 years old, 36 years old, dying of heart attacks due to their obesity. So, of course, they're cherry-picking data that fit their ridiculous worldview. Let's look at the next one. And this is very important.
They still recommended it in the guidance. Talk about cherry-picking. So I don't get it. Why is it okay for the nice guidance to do that? But when I find studies...
Oh, sorry, I need to do this one from the beginning. Let's start over.
So I'm forever been accused of cherry-picking the data to suit my agenda. And I find this interesting. I did a few videos not too long ago about fatty liver and showed you the nice guidance. Talk about cherry-picking data. They did this massive search, found only a few RCTs, all of which they graded low or very low when it came to bias and reliability. There was no real evidence that weight loss was an effective way of managing fatty liver disease. And yet, they still recommended it in the guidance. Talk about cherry picking. So I don't get it. Why is it okay for the nice guidance to do that? But when I find studies that support what I'm saying, I'm cherry picking. Either we can all do it or none of us can. Don't.
All right, so apparently this person does not believe that obesity or fatty liver disease is a problem, right? But I found this very quickly. You can just quickly do a search whether or not weight loss can help improve your fatty liver. This is from Harvard Health, all right? I would trust Harvard Health over any other thing that Fat Doctor has looked at, all right? And there's many, 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 many other studies. But this is just one. Weight loss can help head off lasting damage caused by fatty liver. Okay, it's obvious. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is the most common cause of liver disease in the United States, which means it's caused by obesity and is estimated to affect up to a quarter of adults in the world. It is defined by excess fat accumulating in the liver and usually occurs in people with obesity. High blood sugars, diabetes, abdominal cholesterol or triglyceride levels, or high blood pressure. These disorders often run together and as a group are called metabolic syndrome. So your obesity causes fatty liver disease, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, abdominal cholesterol, and they run together as a group called metabolic syndrome. And the non-alcoholic part of the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is important to distinguish it from alcohol-related liver disease, which can also cause excess liver fat. How fat can damage the liver? In some people, the excess fat sits in the liver, but may not cause any liver damage. However, in about 1 in 20 people, excess liver fat triggers chronic liver inflammation. So I'm guessing that means the bigger you are, the more fat that's stored in your liver, and the greater the chance of contacting chronic liver inflammation. This condition is called non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, whatever. And it means, relating to fat and hepatitis means liver inflammation. As with other liver disease such as viral hepatitis or alcohol-related liver disease, chronic inflammation can cause ongoing damage, which leads to liver scarring known as fibrosis. Severe fibrosis is called cirrhosis, regardless of the cause. People with cirrhosis are at risk for liver failure and liver cancer and may need liver transplantation. But guess what? If you're obese, the odds of you getting a liver transplant are virtually zero. All right? So, I don't know. I guess I'm done talking about this person. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous that a medical doctor is spewing this nonsense. And I know there's going to be somebody in the comments, Tony, you're not a medical doctor. This person is. Maybe you should listen to them. No, I'm not going to listen to them. I don't need a medical degree to know that obesity causes diseases. And I could look up all the research that I want from accredited, real scientific research and medical professionals like Harvard Health. I don't know. It's really getting scary. I mean, it really is. Because people like FatDoctorUK are dragging people to their deaths. Because feelings are more important than facts these days. And I'm not here for it anymore. I'm just not. I will continue fighting against this misinformation. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Let me know down below what you think. I know this was long. I know I talked a lot. I don't care. My video. But I love you all. God bless you. Have a great day.